The New England Patriots are not going to be making the playoffs in 2020. Unfortunately, Bill Belichick and the crew are going to miss the playoffs for the first time since 2008. It is only the third time over the last 20 seasons that the New England Patriots are not going to be playing in the postseason. And I know what all you people are going to do. You're going to pile on Bill Belichick. You're going to say, Tom Brady was the reason that Bill Belichick was winning. Tom Brady was the reason for the dynasty. And if you want to feel that way, that's fine. I believe you're wrong. I believe Bill Belichick is the reason the New England Patriots dynasty was, really running at a high level for a 20-year stretch. But if you want to believe that, that's fine. I've done a whole other, topic and episode on who deserves more credit for the Patriots dynasty between Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. You guys can check that out on YouTube, okay? But either way, let me just say this. Bill Belichick deserves the benefit of the doubt for missing the playoffs. Folks, are we going to erase 20 years of excellence from one Bill Belichick just because he misses the playoffs one time? It's pretty clear to me watching the Patriots, this roster's not very good. It's pretty obvious to me the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins by far have better rosters than the New England Patriots. And by the way, I was wrong about the Patriots. I thought the Patriots could be a playoff team this year. I was clearly wrong. They're not a playoff team. This team is bereft of talent. Not to mention, Bill Belichick has several starters opt out due to COVID. Several players, several key starting level players, 8 key players opted out of the 2020 NFL season for the New England Patriots. That's not all on Bill Belichick. The players had to make the choice they want to make, And you have to take into account that Bill Belichick and the Patriots had no preseason games. They had no OTAs. It was a weird offseason of a bunch of Zoom meetings. And yes, every single other NFL team had to deal with the same circumstances that the Patriots had to deal with. However, the Patriots lost Tom Brady. And while Cam Newton is a former league MVP, he's clearly not the same quarterback. And you can clearly see, based on Cam Newton's play, he was learning the system on the fly. And when you combine the fact that Cam Newton didn't have a whole lot of weapons to throw to, when you combine the fact that he just wasn't that good, 5 touchdowns or 10 interceptions, he wasn't very good. And I don't care how great of a head coach you are, you're not going to win with bad quarterback play. Look at Mike Vrabel in Tennessee. Everyone was calling for his job when Marcus Mariota was stinking up the joint. The minute Ryan Tannehill comes into Tennessee and takes advantage of that offensive line and those great weapons, everyone is praising Mike Vrabel. Same thing with Doug Peterson. Everyone this year was saying, oh, Doug Peterson, he stinks. He sucks. He's no good. He can't coach. When in reality, it was Carson Wentz that was clearly handicapping the Philadelphia Eagles. When Carson Wentz doesn't play, Doug Peterson's an amazing head coach. He went to a Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. The team appears to be much better playing under Jalen Hurts. Keep in mind, Bruce Arians had a very talented roster last year. You want to know why he underachieved? He underachieved because the quarterback was not good enough. Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions, turned the football over a bunch of times. Folks, give Bill Belichick the benefit of the doubt. He's going to reboot. The Patriots are going to, return to their normal self with probably as early as next season, okay? I'm willing to bet money the Patriots probably can make the playoffs by as early as next season, They just have to reboot. They need a strong draft. Maybe bring in a couple free agents. Get Cam Newton incorporated with the playbook once again. The Patriots will be fine. This season should not define Bill Belichick's legacy. Are we just going to throw out the other 19 or 18 to 20 years of excellence, the 6 Super Bowl victories that Bill Belichick has won as a head coach? If you want to throw that out, that's fine, but I'm not going to do that. And the Patriots, despite all those crazy things going on this year, they were a very competitive football team. They lost to the Seattle Seahawks by 1 point. They played the Kansas City Chiefs very, very tough. A team that very well could go 15-1 this season. And I'm sorry, folks, I watched that game. If Cam Newton had played in that Kansas City Chiefs game versus the New England Patriots, the Kansas City Chiefs would have lost to the New England Patriots. I watched that game. That's the conclusion I drew. If you want to draw the conclusion, that's fine. If not, That's fine as well, okay? That's the conclusion that I drew, however, okay? And then when Cam Newton had suffered COVID, he comes back rusty versus the Denver Broncos, but they still lose that game by one possession. At Buffalo, they had that game, right there for the taking, but unfortunately Cam Newton fumbled on the final possession. The Patriots lose by one possession. The Houston Texans on the road, they face Deshaun Watson. They lose by one possession. 4 of the 8 Patriots losses so far are by one possession. And if you want to count the Kansas City Chiefs game as being a very tough game that they could have probably won, then that's 5 games that were very winnable on the Patriots schedule that it just didn't bounce their way, And keep in mind, people, what is the situation that Tom Brady went into when he chose to go to Tampa Bay? Tom Brady, smartly, I might add, chose to go into a situation in which he virtually could not lose based on the perception of himself and based on the team he was going to. Here's what folks are pretty much saying about Tom Brady that are looking to make excuses for him every time he fails in Tampa Bay. Every time he loses a game, every time he plays badly, every time he throws an interception, everyone says, oh, Tom Brady, he's a 43-year-old quarterback. He's learning a new system. He's in the no-risk-it-biscuit offense. It's Bruce Arians' fault. But then, when Tom Brady's winning, they're going to say, oh, look at Tom Brady. He changed the culture in Tampa Bay. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers went from a 7-9 football team, 7 wins, 9 losses. They went from a 7-9 football team to a team that's going to make the playoffs. Oh, look at Tom Brady. He changed the culture in Tampa Bay. And to be very clear, I do believe Tom Brady deserves a good amount of credit for helping establish a good culture in Tampa Bay. There's a reason it's been so long since Tampa Bay has made the playoffs. And now, coincidentally, because Tom Brady is now a part of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're going to be a playoff team. But however, Tom Brady walked onto a very, very talented Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. If you actually watched the Tampa Bay Buccaneers very closely last year, like I did when I did a Jameis Winston film analysis video. I was diving into a bunch of Tampa Bay Buccaneers film. I watched every single game that the team played last year, and my conclusion was, man, if Jameis Winston doesn't stop turning the football over, this team could be a playoff team. That was my takeaway from watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last season. All 16 games I watched, and I said, if that team had a quarterback that was just an accurate distributor that did not turn the football over, the team very well could be a playoff team. And that is the case so far. So I can only give Tom Brady so many stripes for having the upper hand on Bill Belichick because, well, when I looked at the rosters and when I looked at the situation Tom Brady was going into, it was much more ideal than Bill Belichick's situation. Tom Brady, he goes to a team that was very, very talented. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they added Rob Gronkowski. They got Cameron Brate. Scotty Miller is pretty good. Tyler Johnson's a good rookie wide receiver. Antonio Brown, the Buccaneers added him. Outside of the Kansas City Chiefs, can you name me another team that has more firepower at the wide receiver and tight end position outside of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Because I can't name too many other teams. I'm just saying, people, are we going to ignore the fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line is much improved this year, mainly due to Tristan Wirfs, who's a very good rookie offensive tackle that has a very good, bright future in the NFL? Are we going to ignore the fact that Ronald Jones is having a career season? Are we going to ignore the fact that Tom Brady is playing on one of the 5 most talented teams in all of football? Are we going to ignore the fact that Tom Brady has a top 10 defense by his side, arguably a top 5 defense on their good days? Tampa Bay's loaded. The Patriots, they're not a good football team. As I mentioned earlier, Miami, Buffalo, they're much better than the Patriots. So, listen. Tom Brady is winning the early divorce with Bill Belichick. Congratulations, Tom Brady. You're doing what you should be doing. But guess what, people? I'm not here to cancel Bill Belichick. I'm not here to crucify the guy. He's going to reboot. The Patriots are going to more than likely be a playoff team, in the near future, probably as early as next season. They'll get some key players back that opted out. A lot of good young players got experience for the Patriots this year. They will take that experience into next year. The Patriots will start probably winning some more of these close games. If they bring Cam Newton back, it'll be a second year in the Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels offense. And listen, usually when we see a quarterback, go into come back a second season, really having learned the system for a second year, they tend to pop off. Look at Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan was decent his first year with Kyle Shanahan as the offensive coordinator in Atlanta. But then the very next season, Matt Ryan, in his second season in the Kyle Shanahan offense, he won the league MVP, and it got his team to a Super Bowl. We could say the same thing about Aaron Rodgers. Everyone was questioning Aaron Rodgers last year. Oh, Aaron Rodgers, he might have fallen off. The Matt LaFleur system doesn't work. Well, fast forward to this year, in Aaron Rodgers' second year in the system, he's playing like a league MVP candidate. He's having the best season of his NFL career, arguably. And Aaron Rodgers, he's a bona fide Hall of Fame level quarterback that might be a top 5 quarterback of all time. He's at least the most talented quarterback of all time, in my opinion. So, all I'm trying to say is this, people. Give Bill Belichick the benefit of the doubt. He deserves it. He's still arguably the greatest head coach of all time. I don't think Bill Belichick's legacy is going to take a huge hit based on his failures and shortcomings during the 2020 season. Now, I will say this. If the struggles continue and Tom Brady makes deep playoff runs in Tampa Bay, or if he leads them to a Super Bowl, then Bill Belichick might need to answer some questions. But for now, I'm going to give Bill Belichick the benefit of the doubt. I trust in Bill Belichick. He's still a top-tier head coach, and you should give Bill Belichick the benefit of the doubt for missing the playoffs in 2020. And I believe the Patriots will be just fine going forward, led by Bill Belichick. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.